In 2004, Valve released Half-Life 2, one of the most beloved and influential games of all time. And with the game ending on a cliffhanger, fans were eager to see the story continue in the confusingly named Half-Life 2 Episode 1. But in the time between, Valve said, you know what, here's an entire game that makes no sense. Just take it and shut up, please. And so in 2005, Valve threw Half-Life 2 Lost Coast at us because why not, I guess. But there was actually a reason for it. Valve wanted to show off the Source Engine's HDR rendering. And since the game is only one level long, it was released for free to owners of Half-Life 2. The game takes place in the town of St. Olga and features all the Half-Life 2 physics you know and love. This fisherman chap, he's a real grade A fogey. He recognizes us as Gordon Freeman, theoretical physicist and the protagonist of Half-Life and Half-Life 2. He's also the only NPC in the entire game. Right off the bat, there's no explanation of why the fuck you're here or whether this is canon or not, but you have basically the entire roster of Half-Life 2 weapons. The most important of them, of course, being the famous gravity gun. You can't not love this thing. I feel like a monkey flinging shit. And if you've played Half-Life 2, you know how much fun it is interacting with objects like saws and other stuff. Here, though, there's really not much environment that requires you to interact with it via the gravity gun. In fact, there's literally nothing that's mandatory to beat this game. What a missed opportunity that the main mechanic of Half-Life 2 is completely unnecessary here. Anyway, the Fogey gives us a quick rundown of what's going on. Some Combine soldiers have built a base here on St. Olga, and it's up to you to introduce your shotgun to their head. If you've never played a Half-Life game, all you need to know is shoot anything that moves. And always break crates. Crates are where you're going to find ammo and health. With the gate now open, we can start making our way up the island. And it takes about one set of stairs to run into some Combine. This is always where Half-Life shines. There's nothing more satisfying than watching a Combine soldier drop dead. When you're getting ambushed by them, it's always helpful to use the gravity gun to pick up objects to shield yourself. And then throw it at them. You know, I gotta say, I don't think a huge amount of people today who have never played a Half-Life game are getting into the series. And it doesn't help that in the past 15 years, there's only been one Half-Life game, and it was developed for a $1,000 VR headset. If you've never played a Half-Life game, play one. They're fantastic games, and it shows when even a game comprised of one level can be so much fun. When I choose a game for Lost in Obscurity, I like to pick ones that no one has really gone into heavy detail of, but truthfully, Lost Coast just feels like a short level ripped straight out of Half-Life 2. The sound effects, the models, everything's the same, but with HDR. If you've played Half-Life 2, you get the gist of Lost Coast, but let me get back to the gameplay. Nothing sucks better than Half-Life platforming. Probably one of the most disgusting things you'll ever do with a keyboard. Here, this bridge is collapsed and it's a scripted event, but it's not crazy clear that you're not supposed to go up there. So you just end up jumping over and over and over again trying to parkour at this non-materialistic wooden pole, but you're actually supposed to go to this path back here. It's confusing as shit because why the fuck would there be a bridge going up, but you don't take it, and instead you just turn around and go straight onto another path, but the path is hidden because it looks just like the path you came from. What the fuck kind of shit is that? Anyway, the platforming doesn't stop there. You know, there's nothing wrong with some basic platforming like this. You just gotta jump straight across, that's all. But it's making me want to fucking stab myself because the midair physics are the kind that suck. You can't control yourself midair, and that's a great way to make platforming hell. I know these midair physics have been the same for the entire series, but here, when you're jumping from one thin cliff to another thin cliff, it's like balancing on a doorknob with your dick. As you go up, you get absolutely butt-fucked by Combine soldiers. It's ridiculous. They'll spawn in behind you, above you, and sometimes for some reason like 40 feet below you. So that way, if you fall a couple levels down, don't worry, someone will be waiting there to fucking kill you. But when you're ramming through them, blowing the mind of one after another, it's so badass. Once you reach the top, you find yourself in a lovely destroyed town. You can look around, but everywhere is blocked off. There's an eerie aura that's accompanied by this subtle ambience. And it's worth mentioning at this point, by the way, that there's no music in this game. One of the beloved aspects of the Half-Life games is the badass and atmospheric music that kicks in during important gameplay moments. This game has no score whatsoever. At best, you get some synthy ambience. It's a shame that there's not even one track. Anyway, the only place you can move forward to is this churchish area. Puzzle solving is half of the Half-Life series, so of course we have our one puzzle of the entire game. You have to shove something in the piston to jam it, and now there's fucking Combine soldiers everywhere. They're dropping from the ceiling, turning the corners. Wherever there's air, there's a Combine soldier dying to end your life. They blow open the door and, you know, this is where you would expect some badass music to kick in, but there's nothing. It kind of fails to set the atmosphere of baddies jumping through windows, busting through doors. It's still fun though. There's a few head crabs in here too, making them the only other enemy in the game besides Combine soldiers. Blowing up helicopters with RPGs is to Half-Life as corruption is to the Serbian government. You can't have one without a little bit of the other. Absolute classic gameplay here. With the town being littered with asshats, we gotta clean up and kill without thought. They just keep popping up though. But once it's all quiet, it's time to heal up and get some ammo and get on with it. And how can you go wrong with another helicopter blowing up sequence? There's an ammo box here so you can't run out. After you blow this twat up, you're just stuck in this little deck here. The way you got in is blocked and there's nowhere else to go. You can try stacking shit to get out, it's no use. It took me a bit to realize that if you drop down here, you can actually use the bars to make your way over to the elevator. What the fuck? That was not obvious in the slightest. Well, anyway, after you make your way across these tiny-ass beams, you take the platform down and find yourself back at the start. Your mission is over. The fisherman thanks you for your help, and then you just get to stare at him while he goes on about the Combine and some other bullshit he has to say for fuck all reason.
I guess you got other places to be.
That's it. It wasn't much, but it's really not supposed to be. And it really was not that much. This game takes less than 15 minutes to beat, and if you know where you're supposed to go, you can really get through this in less than 10 minutes without rushing. As far as replayability goes, you can change the difficulty like in the rest of the series, and there's also a commentary mode.
Welcome to the Lost Coast.
Yes, a developer commentary mode for a 10-minute game because why not, I guess. Fuck it.
The process of building characters in Half-Life 2 taught us many things.
They sound like fucking aliens at gunpoint. In Half-Life games, the autosave points are usually pretty good. There's almost never a time where you get sent back a crazy amount, and here in Lost Coast, the same applies. Not that it would matter anyway, since the game is so short, and you can manually save anytime like in the rest of the series also. It's still a really fun, short little game. It was meant to just be an HDR tech demo, but I'm not totally sure why it exists when Half-Life 2 Episode 1 came out a half a year later and utilized the HDR technology. I guess Valve just couldn't wait to show it off. In fact, there's a video stress test that lets you see if your rig is powerful enough to render this incredible photorealistic shit. Above all, Half-Life 2 Lost Coast exists. And it definitely exists as a confusing entry in the series and just adds to the confusion around the chronological order of Half-Life games, not just in terms of release, but in story too. If you have a Windows computer less than 15 years old, chances are this will run on it. So give it a try. Half-Life is awesome. I'm Bearman, and I've been wasting your time. Thanks for watching.